Hello, hello. I am Shaun Glaze. I use they, them pronouns, and I am one of the research co leads for the Black Brilliance Research Project. And I am joined here by a very special guest. Y'all, you do not want to miss this. Please, Rev Gregerson, will you introduce yourself and let us know who you are and what you do?
Hi, my name is Mia Gregerson, and I use she, her pronouns. I represent the 33rd Legislative District, which means I actually live in the shadow of the SeaTac Airport. I'm one of the folks who live with your mom upstairs, so commingling in households and just really here with the working people. I'm super excited to talk about the Digital Equity Act today, and I'll just step back and get that started.
Yes, that's fantastic. Thank you. I love meeting people who are in CTAG. I just one of my favorite places to be. Let's hop to it. Can you please give us a quick overview of the Digital Equity Act?
Sure. So last year we talked a little bit about it, but we had a little bit of a revenue source to it, and that was HB 1460. This year's just the policy, and it just gave us more time to focus on the policy, really talk to community members and hear what was in the language that was in the past bill and how we could improve that. So what you're going to see is four main programs, very similar to last year, maybe a little different name. One is the Washington Broadband Assistance Program. You can imagine why we need that. That's going to be run out of DSHS. The second one we're actually calling it the Anchor Institution Digital Equity Program because we have so many anchor institutions in our community that need a little extra help to make sure we get affordable or free broadband to those folks that then in turn serve our community. The other is the Community Technical Opportunity Program. That actually, I believe, has been in place for a long time called the CTOP. So we're modifying that, modernizing that. This will be rolled out through the Department of Commerce. You'll see a lot of similarities in these programs. The state broadband offices ran out of the Department of Commerce. So you'll see that continue to go back to that place. And this will actually help advance broadband adoption and digital equity throughout the state. And then you'll have the Digital Equity Planning Grant Program. And so the last one and this one is really about helping digital ecosystems or communities that identify themselves. Sometimes they say broadband action teams. Sometimes it's just your local library area. But they'll start to come forward with their planning grants. And then the last program, the CTOP, was one that would actually allocate the dollars to helping roll those grants out. Then I know that there's this other component, which is the Digital Equity Forum. I'm hoping all of you check it out. We had the first meeting last month. We had like 100 participants, super cool, and it codifies that. So I'll step back.
Awesome. Yes, thank you for running through that. So we'll just kind of go through just super quick reminders. So the first one was the Washington Broadband Assistance Program. So that's going to help make more affordable internet. Is that right? More internet around for, especially for low income communities?
Yeah, and remember that it's not only just affordability, but it's also speed. So we want to make sure that our families, if they're larger, they're not hurt because they can't afford high plans that require more internet. Those days should be over.
Agreed, especially because we had a chance to talk to so many people, especially last year, who talked to us about how larger families were being severely impacted. If your internet's not fast enough, and if you have enough kids or people who are trying to get online, it's really hard to do the things you need to do. Can you tell us about the Anchor Institution's Digital Equity Program again and what that's doing?
Yeah, the purpose for this is a lot of them already receive discounted rates with telecommunication service providers or maybe some of the infrastructure that costs to really make sure that they're lighting up the fiber that's already there. Anchor institutions in this case, I believe, also includes our low-income housing. That's new from last year, and we're super excited to work in partnership with our housing authorities and other areas where people want to be able to get on the internet and get access to our government programs and figure out what's going on and fact check weird, strange, sensational messages out there. And so we're really excited that this will also help with digital literacy programs. One of the most local terrorist attacks, really, right, is cyber issues related to cybercrime or cyber related issues on your device.
Absolutely. One of the programs that we're doing, actually, we have a research project in partnership with community partners and University of Washington looking at digital literacy and information literacy and how do we keep our communities safe. So I'm really excited about that one. I would love to hop in a little bit here and let's talk about why this matters to us. And so I'm going to talk for a little bit, and I would love for y'all who are watching to tell us in the comments the same sentence that we're going to do here. And so the sentence is, I support a Digital Equity Act that. And so I would love for people to have a chance to weigh in on that. I'm going to put it at the bottom of the screen. And so I support a Digital Equity Act that addresses racism and that centers the lived experiences of those who've been most impacted by digital inequities. And so that's what's really important to me. How about for you, Rep. Gregerson?
Yeah, thank you, Shaun. I support a Digital Equity Act that, similar to you, that leaves no one behind, that reaches the deepest into our community and really is able to trust folks the closest to the ground in our communities with that trusting relationship. I think oftentimes government isn't seen as a trusted partner, and I think this is a great way to commit ourselves to that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm so excited. There's a lot of things that we talked about how important it is that there is opportunity program that focuses on communities. And you also mentioned the Digital Equity Forum, which I understand is a place where people with lived experience also appear there and help make decisions or inform decisions about where dollars go. Will you speak to that briefly while I queue us up for the last main question?
Sure. Thanks, Shaun. Well, the Digital Equity Forum is really the brainchild of other similar forums like the Food Policy Forum, where oftentimes an issue as large as this can be very polarizing and very difficult to understand. Even basic terminology, the definition of underserved communities could go all the way from the actual fiber related infrastructure to actually our communities and who they are and why they're not being served appropriately. So I think the forum is going to be a really great space to have really diverse voices at the same table, making decisions collectively, not only making decisions, but learning collectively on the issues and then moving forward together on solutions. And I'm hopeful that it takes the pressure off the legislature and the executive branch to make decisions on our own in a vacuum, but together. And so it's really exciting.
I agree. It's really exciting to me, and I know that when we put out our social media copy, we're going to be telling people about that and like how excited we are, and also different thoughts that we have about it. The last question that I want to ask you before we talk about calls to action, y'all, there's actions we can take to help support and refine the Digital Equity Act. Is I want to talk about communities and be specific. And so, one thing that tends to happen is that when we put out policies or practices and we're not specific, it's hard to know what we stand for. And so, this Digital Equity Act has a description for what are called unserved and underserved communities. And that's like people who don't have access, don't have adequate access, might not have devices, they might not have service, they might not have digital skills training, technical support, different things. It's a complex issue. But the way that underserved populations is broken down, I think, is really helpful. And there are some additions that I'd love to make. But let's talk about specific communities. And so I would like to complete this sentence, which is here. So we're going to talk about a specific community and then how they benefit. And so I would say Black communities benefit from a Digital Equity Act that addresses structural racism. So by that, it's like Black communities benefit from a digital equity that centers educational justice. Black communities benefit from a Digital Equity Act that supports community expertise and has Black leadership around the table. So those are things that I would say. Do you have like one or maybe two that you have that you would really like to highlight?
Oh, Shaun, it's hard to follow you on this one. But what comes to mind for me is our aging communities benefit from the Digital Equity Act when all parts of our population are able to help guide them and train them to get access online safely. We know that our elders are often scared to make changes, and we're helping them get online at a fast rate, and they're also falling victim.
Yes.
I also believe that our young communities benefit from the Digital Equity Act when all of the people in our community are able to provide safe, adequate training for them too. They too fall victim. So that's what comes to mind quickly.
That's perfect.
Okay.
Well done. I know it's kind of a weird question, but yeah, I would say nailed it. So thank you. Let's go ahead and close out with CTAs. So there are a few key things people could do. As always, your personal stories matter, y'all. People who represent us want to know like why something matters to us. So just like we had like, what communities benefit and what we support, those things are really helpful for our representatives so that they can help make decisions. For me, I'm thinking a lot about how there's basically three key ways that I want people to think about making a change. Number one, live testimony. So we'll have links at the bottom that say, how do you do that? January 11th, 10 a.m., I believe, is the next opportunity to give live testimony and say, hey, I support a Digital Equity Act that, but here's why this is important to me and my community. The second way, I can put this at the bottom. So the first way is live testimony, y'all. So that is when you say out loud, here's what I want you. The second way that we can support is by telling our representatives. So like, even if your representative is not on the committee, they want to know that this matters to you so that they know what to say, what to do, how to move. So make sure that you are speaking to your reps in Washington State and saying why this matters, and go ahead and copy the committee members so that they know what to do. And then I think the last thing that I want to highlight here is written testimony, just in general. There are ways, links at the bottom, that you can click a button to say, I'm for this, and here's why. So those are the three things I'd highlight. Rep Gregerson, would you say those are, what would you encourage people to do to take action to support the Digital Equity Act?
Wow, I think, Shaun, you did a great job in sort of laying out the basic civic engagement through this remote style session that we started today. You probably could also think about talking to other friends and family who think that this is important. I think the more we talk to our friends and family, even if they don't understand or support it completely, it's a great way to really have a robust conversation around the issue. I remember when my grandfather died last year, we brought a computer in so my grandma could Zoom with family. That never would have happened, right? If
Right.
there weren't other family members who are thinking about closing the digital divide for that moment.
Wow, I love that. I love that there's something all of us can do to help support closing the digital divide. Well, I really appreciate you coming, Rep Gregerson. I'm sorry for the loss in your family, and I'm grateful that y'all had a chance to connect. It speaks to just one example of why this is so important, to be able to bridge the generations, to be able to grieve and love on each other. And I just appreciate your work and helping to make this happen. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you too, and all the leadership that's being done in not only your organization, but all of our allies too in this space. It's really uncharted area. Washington State's really done a lot in the last few years, and it has to do with local folks just really rolling up their sleeves. So thanks again.
I'm ready. I'm doing it. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.
That sounds great. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Bye.